I'm Diane, and today we're going to make a large adult face mask. This one is similar to the small adult face mask, but we're going to put elastics for the ears instead of the ties. Both of these masks you can do either way, with the elastic or the ties. We're showing you both ways. In your kit, the large adult kit, you will have your masks cut out and the 2 pieces of elastic. Put those to the side, we won't need them. You'll also need your piece of paper from the kit. We'll also put that aside because we don't need it yet. You'll need your glue stick, a chalk marker, seam gauge, and your scissors or thread clips, whichever you prefer, and pins. We're going to start with this mask the exact same way as the small adult mask. We're going to make sure that the fabrics are all lined up even. You're going to sew a straight stitch on both of the curved edges. You're using a 1/4 inch seam, and you are back stitching at the first and the end of the seam. Slow it down around the curve so that you're doing a very nice straight stitch. Back stitch. Clip your curves, or clip your threads. Now you're going to do that with your fabric A and your fabric B. Just pause the video right now and do those 2 seams. And clip, just like we did with the small adult mask, we're going to clip 4 clips just into that seam, but not clipping the seam, so that you've got 4 clips. Okay, pause the video and get those done, and then start the video back again. Now you should have both of your curved edges sewn and your clips made on those curved edges. We're going to press the seam to one side, just the same as we did before. The straight edge away from you, and the right side of the fabric down. You are pushing your iron against that seam so that it's ironed in that one direction. Do that with both of those seams, and then come back and join the video again. All right, now you should have both of your seams pressed, and you're going to put the curved side up and right sides together. Remember, you want the seams to lay right on top of one another. This top one is going to be, the top seam is going to be to the right. The bottom seam is going to be to the left. And those seams are right on top of each other. Do a pin. And a pin. Now put your fabric 2 down, and you're going to need your piece of white paper, your 2 pieces of elastic, your chalk line and your glue, and your seam gauge. We are measuring 5/8 of an inch from this edge. So I'm putting my seam gauge right on that 5/8 inch line, and I'm doing a chalk line right at that mark. Then over here, the same thing, 5/8 inch and a chalk line. Take out your glue stick. You're just going to put a line of glue right where your chalk line is. Then you're going to put one end of the elastic on one chalk line, and one end of elastic on the other chalk line, and then just put that, the right side, the right sides together and pin those ends. Go ahead and do that for both sides and then join me back again. All right, you should have your mask all pinned together with your elastic inside. Make sure that you put your lid on your glue stick and put it away so that it does not dry out. Now we're ready to sew. So you're oh wait, we're not ready to sew yet. We need to mark an inch away from your seam. Make a mark, your center seam right here. So you're making a mark from this seam to here, and then 2 inches from that, you're making another mark. So you're going to start sewing on this mark, sew all the way around your mask and ending at that mark. 1/4 inch seam. When you come to that seam, make sure they're together. Sewing carefully around. You're going to pivot. You're going to plant your needle, pivot and turn. So as you come to the end of your fabric, you're going to plant your needle, pivot and turn. Now you're going to be sewing over that elastic, so back stitch over that elastic to give that a little bit more security. Again, back stitch over the elastic, come to the end and plant your needle, pivot and turn. Make sure your elastic is out of the way. Sewing along now the other edge. As you come to the curve, go slowly and carefully so that it's a nice straight seam. Take out your pin. Take out your pin. Pivot and turn. Sew across the elastic, back stitch. Sew across the elastic, back stitch. Come slightly almost to the edge, pivot and turn. Stopping at that mark. Go ahead and get to that point and then come back and join me with the video. Once you have your seam sewn, you need to clip this top part of your mask, just right there where the curve is. So right in this area right here, by the seam, by the center seam, you're going to just make 2 clips there. This will make your mask turn a lot easier. Make sure you clip through both fabrics, but make sure that you don't clip into to clip off where the seam is. Now we need to clip our corners. There's a really sharp pointy corner and a not so sharp pointy corner. On the really sharp pointy corner, you're going to clip close to the stitching line, and then you're going to just trim right at that really sharp point. You're going to trim a little triangle out so that it will turn more nicely. Then at the less pointy corners, you're just going to clip across, so you're cutting off that point. Remember, clip next to the stitching, but don't clip your stitching. Now you're going to turn your mask right side out. Pulling at the elastic helps pull it out a little better. Go through your opening and poke out with your pencil those corners. Carefully poke those. If you poke too hard, you'll go through your mask and have a hole in your corner there. Once you've got that, then we want to press those, making sure that your seams are tight and that you can't see the back of the back fabric on the front or the front fabric on the back. When you're ironing, do not iron over your elastic. It will melt. So keep your iron away from your elastic. I'm using a little iron because it's a little easier for you to see what I'm doing, but your big iron will work just fine with this. On your opening, you're going to tuck those opening seam allowances in so that they're laying flat and even. Iron that down. You're ironing all of those edges nice and flat. Now you're ready to edge stitch. You're going to start on the bottom side, the more straight seam, just in from the edge. You're going to edge stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of your fabric. Come to the edge of your fabric, plant your needle, pivot and turn. Plant your needle, pivot and turn. Plant your needle, pivot and turn. Plant your needle, pivot and turn one last time, and back stitch to join your first stitching. And your mask is complete. This is a large adult mask, and it's worn like this and over the ears.